Hello and welcome to the MSTieCast. I'm Toby Mobius.
I'm Josh McLeod.
I'm Justin Tony.
And today we have a very special guest, an alumni of an MST3K movie. We don't usually get a lot of those. Normally we get directors, but this is the first time we've had an actor from a Mystery Science Theater movie on the show. It is Mark Hurtado, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Welcome, Mark.
Hey, everyone. And it's actually Hurtado, but that's pretty
Hurtado.
close. Yep.
Potato Hurtado.
Right. Potato.
How are you doing tonight?
Great. How are you guys?
Fantastic.
Doing
Pretty
fine.
good.
And Mark played Ernest Borgnine's grandson, who has no name, in Merlin's Shop of Mystical Wonders. I have to emphasize it because I keep thinking the title is Merlin's Mystical Shop of Wonders, but it's Merlin's Shop of Mystical Wonders. So,
Merlin.
Yeah, that always trips me up too when I was writing the episode post for this.
Yeah, and the guys ended up naming me Billy.
Oh, well, your character has a name. Congratulations.
So with that.
yeah.
So Josh, you want to start us off?
Sure. How does one become how does one become Ernest Borgnine's grandson? I guess is the starting question.
You gotta get very lucky for that honor. So first off, the parts that were filmed with the Jonathan Cooper and the reviewer in Merlin's shop was all filmed before I even got involved. And my little sister actually played the baby that Jonathan turns into at the end of that segment, if you remember that. Which is pretty funny. She just had to smile on camera and basically was a baby. A couple years later, they contacted my mom saying, "Hey, you have another kid that can read." And I was in kindergarten at the time. I knew how to read. I could memorize lines. They said, "We need you to play a grandson in this story." So that's how I got selected.
And how long did it take you to film your scenes?
I think it was about 2 or 3 nights, so it wasn't very long. I had to go over there. I remember I was excited because it was a lot later past my bedtime than normal, so I actually got to drink some caffeine and stay up a little bit later than normal.
You're a lucky little boy.
Right.
What do you remember about Ernest Borgnine, working with him?
He was okay. I don't remember really talking with him very much, or I do remember, we did our scenes together, and he would read off cue cards, and I had to have all my lines memorized, and I thought that was kind of unfair. But he seemed like he was, I don't know, like not as friendly as the rest of the cast or crew and all that. So I don't know if it was just because I was just an annoying kid, which is very, very possible, but he also was, obviously a very well-respected actor. And there were a couple of parts where I had to go off and he would do his solo lines and he would be on camera just by himself and doing his parts.
And it's weird seeing Borgnine in this film because, he was... I remember it oddly because I think he did The Simpsons that same year.
Oh, really?
I think so. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I remember, and later in life I ended up seeing Marty in all of his well-known films, and I mean, he was great in all of those, so it was really kind of cool to have that connection with him.
And of course, his revered role as Mermaid Man on SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah, you're one degree away from Tim Conway, so.
Oh, great.
Go ahead, Justin.
How old were you, Mark, when you filmed the movie?
So I was about 6 years old. I was born in
Oh, wow.
1989, and I think it was filmed in 1995. So I remember I was in kindergarten because at one point we did like this thing in the class or whatever where I read my roles or read my lines in front of the class, I guess, to get used to it. And it's like, yes, I can do this.
You're a really cute kid. Now, I don't know a lot about this movie, so I'm going to relay. I don't know if you know the answer to these questions either, but what do you remember about the director, Kenneth J. Burton?
Well, if you look on the subreddit, I have a picture with him and Ernest Borgnine. And I remember I liked him a lot. He was very friendly, very nice, and very patient with me because I think at the time I had a speech impediment, and so like some of the lines like "What did Madeline wish for?" was really difficult for me to pronounce, and he just kind of sat there and was like, "Okay, wish, wish," and I was kept saying "whis, whis." So, I mean, I really liked him. He was a lot of fun.
That's good. He's not an easy guy to find. There's a lot of rumors out there about him, and the rumor that I remember reading in, I guess it was around 2008, was that he has he's like a weird hermit and he has the monkey toy in his garden somewhere. I don't know if that's true. I don't think it's true, but it's just something I read.
Yeah, no, I haven't had any contact with him since the movie. I do know a little bit after there was filmed, and before the movie came out, we went back to his house because all of my scenes were filmed in his house in his living room, and we went back and he had a Halloween party and he had a haunted house in his garage and it was pretty cool. But yeah, no, I have not heard from him since. And actually, I was looking on IMDb right before this, and someone posted that he ended up dying early. I don't know if that's true or not. I couldn't find anything else to follow that up, but on the IMDb forums, someone said that he died a few years ago, and that was posted in 2009. So I don't know.
I gotta look into it a little bit more. Again, I've had no luck finding anything on the guy, so I'd like
special MSTieCast investigative reports.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes that seems to happen with some of these movies. It's like especially if it's a not well-known production or something. It's hard to dig up information sometimes. I mean, IMDb can be a useful tool, but it's not 100% accurate.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's just one person posting on this, so who knows? But and then that was the thing too, is that I never really thought, and I don't think anyone really thought that this would be a widely seen movie. Like Mystery Science Theater really kind of gave it that exposure that it probably wasn't intended, but it was really interesting, just the fact that hey, I was in this movie and people have seen it. So I mean, that's kind of cool.
It is cool. And yeah, the movie probably would. It feels like something, and I'm imagining it was something that was just direct to video.
Yeah, I remember when it came out, we got a couple of VHS copies of it. I think it's been on HBO maybe by itself a couple times, or Stars or something like that. But
Kenneth J. Burton only directed 2 movies. He directed Merlin's Mystical Shop of Wonders and the predecessor movie, The Devil's Gift.
Right.
And the big questions we got from Cowboy Crockett and
Eli U. Lamoureux
asked, "Are you aware that Kenneth J. Burton was basically using extensive footage from his previous film, The Devil's Gift, to make most of Merlin's Mystical Shop of Wonders?"
I mean, not really until after the Mystery Science Theater came out, and I was actually looking into it. I mean, at the time, the parts that I was in were filmed last, so the whole structure of the movie and everything was completely unknown to me until we saw the whole movie at once when he rented a theater in Hollywood, actually, that we went down to go see it. So I was able to see kind of how it was all pieced together then. And even then I didn't really kind of get that, these parts were older than my parts until years later when I could kind of really understand that. But I was aware about that, or I was aware of that when I actually started looking into it.
And something that's always been in the bottom of my mind is, I'm wondering how he pitched this movie to a room of executives. Like, hey, I want to make a movie, but I already made half the movie in 1984, and I just need some money to finish the rest of the movie.
Right.
Actually, that doesn't sound so bad now that I say it out loud.
Yeah, because then it's only half the cost.
Yeah.
But I don't think there was really a room of executives. I mean, he was the editor, director, and producer, and all of that. So, I mean, and the writer. So, I think it was just kind of a side project for him. He had a real job, and then kind of for this was a side project that I think he just kind of worked on himself. So, he probably funded it himself, too.
Now, the rumor that I've read, and I don't think is true, is that this was some sort of, and I don't know if you'd know the answer to this either.
Okay.
The rumor is that this was some sort of this was going to be some kind of backdoor pilot.
A pilot for
like a
TV show?
Yeah, for like some kind of anthology show about a grandfather telling his son stories about Merlin. Yeah, I don't think it's true, but I've heard that.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's the first I heard of that. And probably after my performance, I don't know if I'd be the grandson on the TV show, but I don't know if there were any plans for that or to take it beyond a movie or not. I mean, that's entirely kind of his call.
I can definitely see why that would work, though, especially like in that time there were a lot of syndicated shows of that nature, like Tales from the Crypt and Friday the 13th series, etc.
Freddy's Nightmares. So, yeah.
Yeah.
You guys want to let's get into the Mystery Science Theater episode. Well, first of all, when did you first see the Mystery Science Theater episode?
Yeah.
All right, so growing up, you know how you go through middle school and high school, and the first day of class, everyone has like the icebreaker exercise where you tell like two lies about yourself and one truth, and everyone has to guess what the truth is. And so my go-to every year was always I was in a movie when I was a kid, because no one would believe that. And then whenever they said, that's actually true, and then I'd tell them about the movie, and no one, of course, no one had seen it or anything like that. But then later in high school, someone said, "Oh yeah, I saw that movie recently." I was like, "No, you did. How would anyone have seen this?" He said, "No, it's on the show called Mystery Science Theater." And I had never heard of it at that show at the time. And so I looked it up, and it was doing reruns on the Sci-Fi Channel. And so, he kind of explained the basic premise of it and all that, and it sounded pretty cool. So I saw the date that they were going to air it and recorded it to a videotape and watched it and loved it. And so since then I've been trying to watch as many as I can. So it was pretty interesting introduction to the show.
Well,
It's got to be a weird thing to see them riffing you.
yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I got lucky. They didn't really riff me because I was next to such a star in all of my scenes. So, Grandpa Borgnine got the brunt of everything, basically. And I was just the kid there that was listening to this horror story and, surviving. So I think I got treated pretty nicely by the bots and by Mike.
I love the fact that they constantly refer to the character as saying Grandpa Borgnine, as if you would refer to your own grandfather by his last name.
Well, if someone that respectable, I think you'd have to, right?
It's like, Grandpa Mobius, what are you doing today?
Leave me alone drinking.
Get out from behind that cushion.
Oh, we're gonna get into the riffs, but so we start out with the sketch, which is old-timey college pranks.
Mm-hmm.
Remember any old-timey college pranks? Did anyone go to old-timey college? No.
I'm not at liberty to say.
Okay. I never got stuffed in a phone booth. I can say that much.
It was interesting to see all those Tom Servos at once, though. I wonder if they already had those on hand or if they just had to make extras.
They had a lot in inventory in case they broke, because I know those puppets were very, very fragile.
Mm.
Yeah.
And there's some later episodes where, like in the final episode, where Servo decommissions all his old servos by making them blow up, and
Right.
there's the human duplicators. So they had a bunch on store. I think like 7 is the quote I heard.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
From what I've heard, apparently sometimes they would break mid-sketch. So while the camera was on something else, they would quickly just grab another servo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or put another head on there, just like to finish the bit without having to do several takes.
Yeah, if you see some of the old outtakes of like the poopy stuff, you see the bots like getting wrecked or catching on fire or something pretty often. So they had to have a lot of other ones on hand just in case something went wrong.
Then we have the Zimbardo experiment. We all know what I guess we should explain to the viewers who Philip Zimbardo was. He was a psychologist who he had like an experiment where he had a bunch of students and he gave half of them absolute power over the other half, and it's one of those absolute power corrupts absolutely. One of those experiments you couldn't do today.
Also, he has a name like an X-Men villain.
That's true. How could he not do evil? But yeah, then we get into the movie, the gritty part. What are our favorite scenes from the movie?
Well, I kind of like the later ones. Especially, the part where the cat gets roasted alive is pretty scarring. But
yes.
But then, yeah, it's funny seeing my little sister be the baby for that one part at the end of there, and then it kind of transitions to this completely unrelated story, and just Merlin just wandering around LA trying to find a monkey.
Well, you shouldn't go around L.A. wearing an ornate robe asking young women, "Have you seen my little monkey?" That just doesn't work.
I like when we first see Merlin's shop for the first time because I love the design of that set.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Kudos to Ken Burton for designing that set.
Yeah, if that shop was still around today, it'd probably be kind of successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have Jonathan. His name's Jonathan, the evil CD reviewer guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now we kind of live. It's weird because that's kind of the idea of newspaper reviews have kind of died. Although now Jonathan would probably have like a YouTube channel where he would.
He'd be a Yelper.
Yeah.
And it is funny because the bots do that sketch about reviewing things and niche reviewing is what they call it. And last week we had 2 theme park reviewers on the show, so
We're gonna have some insect reviewers next week. That's gonna be awesome.
I know there was one guy, I can't find him anymore after the Blip purge, but he reviewed MST3K episodes with his own bots.
I know where
That's
he is.
pretty meta.
Yeah. So let's see here. We get the evil Jonathan, and he gets the spell book. There's trolls in the shop. The troll from Troll 2 is in the shop.
Really?
Is
I
it
don't
the
know.
same one?
I doubt it. I doubt it, but it looks a lot like it.
And that was on the cover of the VHS, I remember. I was thinking, why is this on the cover of the movie? Because it's only in there for like about 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Well, there wasn't a whole lot of magical mystically. Now that I think about it, there really wasn't a whole lot of magical mystically. I think Merlin was kind of running a scam.
Well, maybe. That'd be interesting to watch it and be like, oh wait, Jonathan Cooper's the good guy.
Yeah. He's just trying to head off. He's trying to destroy the shop before the evil monkey gets out and all those innocent people die so that Merlin can save them.
If only he went out of business before evil was unleashed.
Yeah. But that's the thing with
Hampered in God's domain.
with that symbol monkey. Again, it's the Lord of the Rings paradox. Why don't they just why don't they just throw the monkey in a volcano or something? I don't understand why he needs to have it in his store.
I think that's one of the riffs, actually. They say, why is this still here?
Why couldn't the monkey have arranged his death from inside the trash can? I don't... Oh, how does the wife explain the disappearance of her husband and the appearance of this child? That's a...
Oh, well, I mean, that was her wish. So, therefore, she got her wish and everything was good.
But how does she explain that to the authorities when they come knocking on the door and going, "Where's Jonathan? And where'd you get this kid?"
Yeah.
Borgnine forgot to write that in, huh?
Yeah.
The paperwork just magically appears in the bureau.
Yeah.
So she gets to raise her horrible husband. That's what all wives think they do, anyway.
Now we can write scathing reviews of his mother's care.
Right.
Then we get to the second half of the movie, which is the Devil's Gift, and I'm still trying to figure out how they thought it would be a good idea to merge the old film with the new film, but funding ran out. And that's the thing I've read is that, like, this was supposed to be a horror, and I've also read this is on TV Tropes, I don't know if you've seen it, is that this movie was supposed to be a horror anthology series, and some executive said, no, make it magical mystically.
Huh. Yeah, no, I hadn't heard of that. I'm not quite sure what it was intended to be when it was made. But I do remember it's comparing me to the kid that was in The Devil's Gift. People are asking me if I'm the same guy, and it's like, well, that was filmed like 10, 15 years before I was around, so that guy's actually considerably older than me right now.
Yeah. I'd like to track him down. I'm
Yeah.
curious. That's the thing. I'm curious about the actors who were in the original, in The Devil's Gift. I'm curious about what their stance is on, first of all, the fact that the film was reused, and second of all, the Mystery Science version.
Well, I mean, the film that was reused, he was the same director for both of them, so it was kind of his film, I think, that he took into the new one.
Yep. But I'm curious, did they ever find out that it was reused? Did they get some kind of payment for it being reused?
Yeah, I don't know.
But have you seen the unedited, I guess the original film, Devil's Gift?
I saw that someone posted on the Mystery Science Theater subreddit that there was an alternate ending where it just kind of ends with Billy or the kid trying to get out of the front door, and then it cuts to credits. So I saw that part, but I haven't seen the full movie now.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in its entirety, but I've watched parts, and there's a lot of stuff that's obviously edited out. Like, there's a scene where Michael almost drowns in the shower. There's a scene where the Tony Tennille lady, the lady who looks like Tony Tennille, the spouse, tries to... Because in the original film, the implication is that she is actually doing the devil's work through the monkey. So if you watch the unedited version, I think she's the one that sort of starts the fire. She's the one that locks the dog in the garage. She's the one that. And there's a scene that's not in the film where she tries to drown the kid.
Oh man.
In the bathtub, yeah. And then she gets killed. Like she dies in a very odd manner. She like falls off a like a porch, and I guess hits her head and dies. Something weird.
Yeah.
But again,
go back and watch that.
Yeah, you can find it online. As of this recording, you can find it online pretty easily.
Right.
Family film for families of all ages.
Yeah. I'm guessing Borgnine didn't find that part necessary to tell.
Yeah, no, he carefully selected which goes to the grandkid.
Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, how are you not scarred for life? I think that is a valid question.
I did.
It is, I guess.
The first time when I was a kid, when I was watching it in the theater, you know, I watched the first parts and I saw that I was on camera. I was like, oh, this is great. And then the music started to get pretty scary, and I was a little anxious at that point. And then at some point, I just ended up having to get out of the theater. My mom took me out. So then we were standing outside the door waiting for my parts to come on. I'd peek my head in and say, oh yeah, I'm on screen. And then whenever it went off, I'd go back out into the hallway. So I think I got spared from most of it until I was of appropriate age.
That's good. But again, this was supposed to be a what is it, Toby? It's supposed to be
a delightful Bambi romp through a flowery fairy field of happy, harmless frou-frou family fun for the whole family of all ages. Or is it?
I read that when they were making the episode, they were quite disturbed with all the Satanism when they were making the episode.
I also really love the segment with the Grandpa Borgnine children's books.
Oh yeah, I love those books. Now I've got a question. I wonder who got those books. Like who bought those books in the eBay auction when the show ended?
Oh, there was an eBay auction?
Yeah, when the show ended, there was an eBay auction, I guess in '99, and they sold all the backlog of props. And so I'm curious. I wonder who got those books, and I wonder if those books actually have the story of like Charlie Chipmunk getting his head bashed in with a can of preserves and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, we should see if we can track down whoever owns those.
Yeah. But yeah, I love that. That sketch is hilarious. That sketch, I think, is the best sketch in the episode.
Yeah.
I think there's a few clinkers, but that one's good. What do you guys think was the most obscure reference in the episode?
One thing I liked was that you could always go back and watch a new, like, you know, the second time or third time or 20th time you watch, there's always something new that sticks out to you that time.
I mean, I think I've seen Merlin's Shop of Mystical Wonders at least 12 times.
Mm-hmm.
And I just watched it recently. I still caught new stuff on this most recent viewing. So, and again, I think that's what makes the show. I think that's what makes the show so good is the replayability of it.
Right.
There's a lot of shows that don't have that.
You watch it as a kid and you get the references as you're older.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I found one that's pretty obscure from what I'm reading here. There was a reference to a Right Guard deodorant commercial from like the 70s that they did. I think the bots went, Hi Guy Mona. That's what the reference to that. It was the Hi Guy was a line from the commercial. That's pretty obscure.
Oh yeah?
I had to look up the one, Larry Bud Melman in drag.
Yeah. Who was Larry Bud Melman?
I did.
Who was it?
Yeah.
David Letterman.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't have gotten that
Google
otherwise.
Yeah. The one I got is they referenced this is about Madonna's sex book, which,
Oh, yeah.
for those of you who don't know, was a book wherein Madonna got naked and groped Big Daddy Kane.
Oh, Big
Yeah.
Daddy Kane. I remember that riff. I have no idea what they were referencing though.
They're referencing the sex book, the Madonna sex book, where
But it was like a coffee table book.
yeah. I love in that we have a reference on two different occasions. We have a reference to Tony Tennille and Daryl Dragon, who are the captain and Tennille in two different locations.
I love that they did another riff poking fun at barbed wire.
Oh, I was just about the barbed wire thing. I just read about that right before you guys called me, and that was pretty interesting that they chose to promote that over Mystery Science movie.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, Pam Anderson.
Oh yeah.
You got to get that Canadian bacon out there. Has anyone here? I actually did see Barbed Wire, and I have to say, You know, it's not that bad of... I'm sorry. I couldn't say that with a straight face. It's terrible.
I like
was
Barbed
about to-
Wire better when it was called Casablanca.
I guess, what are our favorite riffs? I mean, what are your favorite riffs from the episode? You gotta have some.
Yeah, I do remember the one where she threatened him with sex, and that was something I never would have
Yeah.
picked up until you actually go listen to it. And you're like, yeah, I guess so. But that anytime anyone references the book, and I do that in real life still. What is it? Just all the Grandpa Borgnine ones too. Are like, no, Grandpa Borgnine, not another subplot.
I think my favorite is, no, Grandpa Borgnine, leave light and hope for me, please. No, get out from behind that cushion, Billy. It gets worse.
Yeah.
And I know one of my favorite riffs was, heed my words, munch my shorts.
I can quote this episode forever, so I'll just leave it at,
Yeah, same
come,
here.
come here, Mike. And the mechanics? Little 80s music reference for the kids.
No, I have
Oh.
Ted Danson here. I forgot about that one.
Possessy the Clown.
Oh yeah.
Twinkle. That's all.
No, the one that still makes me crack up is, Merlin was a thieving crackhead who fenced
Yeah.
VCRs to feed his prurient desires.
oh, brought to you by LSD.
Oh yeah.
That balloony thing. Have you seen that balloon short, unedited?
No,
No.
I haven't. I want to, though.
It was in you could see it on like Pee-wee's Playhouse, I think, so.
Ooh.
I have
Huh.
seen it.
Working from home, the reality.
Yeah, what did that guy do for a living? I'm curious.
Try to keep his family alive.
I guess. That can be an occupation. Kid's saying, Dad. Dad.
I can't blame
I have
him.
another
though.
script called Chinatown, but I don't like it as much.
Yeah. I don't know, being a kid and trying to say some of these lines was. I don't blame him for putting 2 syllables in that 1 syllable word.
Can you blame him for at least riding a big wheel when he was like 9?
And I'm kind of jealous, actually.
Hey, you know, they make adult-sized big wheels. There's people that pay good money to ride big wheels.
For the 3 fat guys on this podcast, none of us can ride them because they break under our weight, so.
They should redo Sons of Anarchy with big wheels.
I would watch that.
I would watch the hell out of the big wheel Sons of Anarchy.
Star like infants. That sounds like a sketch on like Saturday Night Live or Robot Chicken or something.
It does.
Yeah.
So this was the last season, right? That they were doing Mystery Science. So
Yeah.
at this point, they had the formula down.
Yep. This was the final season, and a lot of people don't know this was actually the last new episode aired.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
There was a rights issue that prevented it from airing originally, so after the series finale aired, they finally were able to air this episode.
Huh.
Now, I'm curious, do you think it was an issue with the rights of the film? Or do you think it has something to do with the fact that they used a clip from an anime in the movie and they may have had to get clearance for it?
I don't think it had anything to do with the anime. I think it had to do with the fact that half of it was this new Merlin's Mystical Shop of Wonders, and the other half was the Devil's Gift, and I think they needed to get the other half cleared. Like, whoever the hell owned a Devil's Gift, I think needed to be cleared, too. Okay. One thing we didn't talk about, the mean psychic lady.
Oh yeah.
I want to talk about her. She deserves some due.
Mhm.
She has a much bigger part in the unedited movie, in the original movie.
Yeah, they took out a lot of parts for the Mystery Science. I mean, it makes sense for the time, but I mean, there's more where that comes from if you watch the unedited movie.
Do you have the unedited movie?
Yeah, I still got a sealed VHS somewhere around here, but
Ooh, collector's item.
yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it unedited probably since I was a kid.
I haven't been able to find it. I mean, you can find the DVD pretty easy, but
I think my cousin ended up buying it off Amazon. He's like, they have DVDs of it now. So, yeah.
interesting to figure out who owns it now. But yeah. Well, you want to wrap up?
I think so.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, as always, we ask, because you are a fan, it seems more apropos to ask this. We don't usually ask this of MST alum, but since you are indeed a fan, what are your top 5 favorite Mystery Science Theater 3000 episodes?
Well, so I got the Mystery Science or Merlin Shop in the DVD set with the 3 other episodes, and Touch of Satan is my number one episode. That's just so great. And Boggy Creek Monster 2 is probably the second one. So and go with and then I got to put Merlin Shop in there. Kind of biased, but it was a good episode, I think. And of course, Manos: The Hands of Fate is a classic. And I'll probably go with Puma Man too. That was great.
Flew like a moron.
And I'm really into the riff tracks too now. I've been buying them and getting a library set up, and it's just going back to some of the old ones where they did, the big budget movies. I think that's pretty cool.
What's your favorite riff tracks? You got any in mind?
I haven't got. I mean, okay, so The Matrix is my favorite movie, and I like that they did a riff tracks for it. But I like it when they kind of do the movies that aren't so good, that they, go back through like Cool as Ice and some of the really cheesy 80s movies. So, I mean, they're all good in their own way.
I like Cool as Ice. That's a good one. Oh, since with Joel and them bringing Mr. Sanctuary 3000 back, what do you think about that with the recent Kickstarter and everything?
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, and I actually just heard about that recently and saw the Kickstarter, and that's crazy how much money they raised for that. So I'm really looking forward to them to come out. I guess there's going to be someone new doing them, though?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So
Comedian Jonah Ray is going to be the new host. Hampton Yount as Crow, and
Baron Vaughn
as Tom Servo, and Felicia Day as Dr. Forrester's daughter, Pearl's granddaughter, and Patton Oswalt as TV's son of TV's Frank.
Huh. Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna have to keep up with that and see when they start releasing those episodes. Do you think they're gonna do Barbed Wire as one of the movies?
That thought never even occurred to me.
No.
That would be amazing.
That would be
get the rights.
odd, bizarre, amazing, and bizarre. So that's our show.
I think that about sums everything up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on.
Well, yeah, hey, thanks for talking. It was great.
It was a pleasure having you. Thanks for coming.
It's always really cool when we get alumni, and you're the first person who's actually been in an MST3K movie to be on the show, which is really, really cool.
Jackie Naiman.
Jackie Naiman doesn't count because she's also the producer of a movie that we had on the show, so, yeah.
Even if it was just a small part, it was pretty, it was an experience.
So, well, thank you everyone for listening. I'm Toby Mobius.
I'm Bob Jackass.
I'm Justin Toder.
And I'm Mark Hurtado.
And this has been the MSTieCast. Remember to believe in magic, or I'll kill you.
So she threatened him with sex?